All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to unpack something really fascinating, a kind of philosophical journey of personal growth told through some seriously powerful metaphors. So let's kick things off with this quote because it really sets the stage for everything we're about to discuss. The whole idea here isn't about coming up with something brand new out of thin air. It's about letting these timeless, universal truths kind of, well, be reborn inside of each of us. Okay, so that naturally leads us to this first big idea, the search for what the text calls a rich originality. But, what does that actually mean? So, rich originality, it's not just about, being quirky or different for the sake of it. Think of it more as this beautiful mix of your own personal growth and staying connected to these deeper universal values. It's like where fresh ideas meet timeless wisdom. You're building a personal truth that's also plugged into something way bigger than just yourself. And this brings us to the very first metaphor we're going to explore, the two-way traveler. This is all about that initial stage of awareness, that feeling that we're kind of living in two different worlds at the exact same time. Yeah, this line just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly describes that feeling of being split. You've got your practical side, right? Your 1 foot standing on the earth. But then you also have that dreaming, aspiring part of you, the one eye fixed on distant skies. And our lives are this constant back and forth, trying to navigate both of those worlds. And that path, well, it's defined by that tension, isn't it? It's a journey filled with struggle, but also with incredible resilience. It's all about falling down and, crucially, getting back up again. And what's the goal of all this? The ultimate quest for this traveler is to find that hidden inner road, that path that leads to a much deeper, more authentic truth. Okay, so after the traveler, our understanding starts to shift. It evolves. We move from just walking on a path to actually becoming the path. And this is where we get this amazing metaphor of the conscious flowing river. Man, I just love this line. It completely flips the script on how we see things. Life stops being this rigid, static journey from point A to point B. Instead, it's this constant, moving, dynamic flow. And the obstacles, the stones upon my road, they're not just roadblocks to get past. Nope, they're actually our teachers. They're what teach our hearts to figure out what we truly want, to find our will. So the real wisdom of the river is how adaptable it is, right? It learns from every single twist and turn, every rock in its way. And there's another cool layer here. Just like all these little streams eventually flow into one big river, it's a reminder that our own personal journeys eventually merge into this larger, shared human current. And then we get another powerful symbol thrown into the mix, the eagle. And this comparison is just fantastic. Check it out. The eagle rises. That's all about power, about looking at the big picture, the destination. But the river flows. That's about beauty, about the process, the journey itself. The point is, a whole, complete person doesn't pick one over the other. They learn how to do both. You have to learn how to rise and how to flow. This is a great moment to pause and think about our own lives, isn't it? So if your life is a river, what are the stones that have been in your path? What are those obstacles you faced? And maybe more importantly, what if we stopped looking at them as just problems? What if we asked, what is this teaching me? What is this trying to show me about my own path and my own will? All right, now we get to the final and maybe most profound metaphor, the limited line. This is where we have to face our own limitations, but, and this is key, not see them as a sign of failure. Instead, we're asked to see them as a kind of doorway to the infinite. I mean, this line just perfectly sums up the human condition, doesn't it? We are finite. Our time here is a limited line. It has a start and an end. But what makes us human is that we don't just stare at our feet. We're always looking out toward that endless sea that represents everything that's possible, everything we don't know, the infinite itself. And what the source tells us is so powerful. That horizon we see, our perceived limit, it's not a wall stopping us. It's actually a door to another place. And once you can really accept your own limits, your own finite nature, you're suddenly free from the fear of it. And that's the moment when a life that has real direction can just open up into something vast and beautiful, like an endless blue sea. So the big question is, how do we tie all this together? The traveler, the river, the line, how do they connect? Well, the source wraps things up with these night notes, these little nuggets of wisdom that really pull the whole journey into focus. And here it is, the big integration of the eagle and the river we talked about. Strength without beauty? That just becomes oppression. And beauty without strength? Well, that's just weakness. They have to be in balance. One without the other is totally incomplete and can even be destructive. It's in that perfect harmony that's the peak moment of awareness. And look at that, we've come completely full circle, right back to where we started. This just drives home the whole point of these metaphors. They aren't just pretty words or nice ideas. They're meant to be tools. The text calls them balconies. And what do you do on a balcony? You get a better view of a much deeper, universal truth. Wow. I mean, what a beautiful and just profound way to think about the impact we have, our legacy. The whole point of a human life, just like a river, is to be a nourishing force, to leave the world just a little more alive, a little bit greener, just because you were here. It really makes you stop and ask yourself, what's the trace I'm leaving behind? And that's where we'll leave it. The final takeaway is this: understanding that our lives are finite, that we're each a limited line. Well, that's not supposed to be depressing. It's a call to action. It's supposed to light a fire under us, because it forces us to ask the single most important question there is. Okay, I have this one limited line, so where am I going to point it?